Hey guys, so today I'm talking about ants, or specifically in my yard, fire ants. I'm going to show you a way to how to get rid of fire ants or any type of ants out of your entire yard. You can do this. There's no chemicals required. There's no special products you need to buy. This is going to be things that you just naturally have around your home, maybe even some things that you're about to throw into the trash. So this will totally eliminate ants from your yard. It takes a little tiny amount of work, but it will absolutely work every time. You'll just need to do this process anytime you see an ant bed or ant hill forming. So before I do head out into the yard, I'm going to use this little device right here to test the effectiveness of it and show you how it works. The reason this works is you're changing the natural environment the ants live in, and they can't tolerate what you're going to do. And it doesn't require any special ability. Anybody can do this, and it's completely safe. You won't have to worry about being stung or bitten by ants hidden in your grass area. As soon as you see an ant hill forming, do this little process and it will eliminate them, and eventually over a very short amount of time you will eliminate all the ants in your entire yard. And in my yard, that's 2 acres where I rarely see ants after implementing this special way of getting them under control. Now in my vegetable garden, I'm trying my best never ever to use anything that's toxic, any kind of pesticides, any herbicides. I'm trying to make this an all natural organic garden, but because of that, I do occasionally have an this is the second time, ant hill forming around specific vegetables, and I want to take care of it, but I don't want to take a chance on contaminating any vegetables. So I'm going to bring you in closer and show you an ant hill that's starting to form right next to some squash I have growing, and the simple way I'm going to get it to move out of the yard very quickly. Now before I reveal this first method, I'm going to say that there's 8 different products that you can use. A lot of these things you might actually just throw in the trash and not use them again, but as you can see, there's an ant hill forming here, and I've already treated this one. I'm going to show you what I did. There's no ants left. I see some dead larvae on the top, and so as I poke around in here, there's no more ants in my squash bed here. It just took one simple method to get them out of here. So the first thing I'm going to say is, if there's a small ant hill forming, and it's very small, you just see it in the initial stages, you can use this right here, just a common plastic cup. Now this bed is too large for this cup, but I'm just saying at the starting stages, if you see this in your grass near a walkway, just set this over where the ant hill is forming in the sunlight. It has to be on a sunny day, and it works much, much better in the hot summer months. This will create an extremely hot environment that the ants can't live in and the larvae can't live in. Now this particular mound is it's far too big for that, so you can use something like this. You can cut out the bottom of a water bottle and place it directly over the ant hill. Now this one again is a little bit large for what we're using it for. This is a little too small, is what I should say, because the ant hill goes over. So we have to use another product I have in the the greenhouse that we're going to use. So this is a little bit small for what we need, but for a little bit larger ant hill, maybe 2 or 3 inches in diameter, you're going to set that over the top of the ant hill, and it's going to make the environment so hot, anywhere from 110 to 130 degrees in a very short amount of time. The last thing, I got these at the dollar store. Now these are exactly what you need for a larger ant hill. Unfortunately, this is so close to the edge I can't get it there, and I'll show you in the greenhouse what I did to actually get rid of this. But if you have an open ant hill in your grass area, you can use something like this. This is a seedling starter for your garden. In the cooler months, you can order these online. I'll put a link in the description to them. But you can put this on top of an ant hill, and it will become so hot in there, the ants will move away. Now they might move 2 or 3 feet away, but you're just going to pick this up, take it over to the next spot where they're forming, and these are so cheap, you can have maybe 10 of them, so you're constantly moving these around the yard. It's not going to take but maybe 2 or 3 times for the ants finally realize they're in an area that gets so hot they need to move far away, maybe to a wooded area, maybe to your neighbor's yard, but they want to get out of an area that's very inhospitable to their living standards. So something like this, you can buy a set of 10 of them for practically nothing online, and it will work great. It has a little ventilation at the top. You need to make sure that you close this to make sure none of the hot air escapes. And I'm going to test these shortly in the yard area and show you how hot the inside of these can get. It's really incredible how fast that happens in the summer months. But like I said, there's 8 total items that I'm using to this, and not all of them are plastic covers like this. Some of them are something you would use in a fish pond, and it works perfectly every time. Now this fire ant mound is starting to form in one of my gravel walkways, and this happens from time to time, and you can see they're starting to come out really quickly. They're a little bit further in the ground because it's so hot today. But what we're going to do is, there's some coming out, and these are definitely fire ants. But when we're not worried so much about grass and killing a large grass area, because you don't want to put an oversized item that's going to kill a huge circle of your grass, but something like this, we're not concerned about any of the vegetation around it. So we can use something like a black bucket, set it over there, give it anywhere from 48 to 72 hours, leave it there and come back, and you'll find that the ants are completely gone. You haven't had to buy any special products, and this can be reused over and over for decades. Again, if the area is much smaller, you can use something like this. This is a small humidity dish that I put under certain plants, so you can put that over it. That's a very small item you can get. And if the ant bed is really large, if it's gotten out of control, you can use something like these plastic containers you can get online. Place it over that, and the inside of this will get incredibly hot. I'll demonstrate how hot these can get in just a sec. But again, depending on the size and where it's at, where you don't want to kill surrounding grass and vegetation, you can use any size plastic container, and black is your preferable color because it's going to attract heat. If you have something that's clear, that will also work, as I demonstrated previously, where the sunlight can go in, it's trapped, and you have a greenhouse effect of it getting extremely hot inside, as it is currently today in my greenhouse. Now, this area of my yard always seems to have at least 1 or 2 ant beds at the beginning of the season, and I use this method to knock them out before they have a chance to take over. There is a small area of grass damage. It'll sometimes be the size of a dinner plate, sometimes smaller depending on how big the mound is when I discovered it. But there's a quick and easy way to restore the grass that will grow back in a week to 2 weeks, and it will look like nothing was ever there. There was probably 2 or 3 spots in here where I had bald spots in the grass, but I added one thing that made a huge difference in restoring the grass to that spot. And I did one special method when I was cutting the grass that allowed it to recover and heal that bald patch in the grass. So it's really simple. I'll bring you in closer and show you exactly how I do this. So this is an area where I had some ants in here, and I quickly got rid of them by using that method. I haven't seen anywhere within 10 feet where they're popped back up. So I think they left the entire area of this grass here because they assumed, the ants realized this area got far too hot for them to start a colony, so they've moved on. But I use this product right here to restore it, and I'll show you another spot just a few feet over from I guess it was last month, where the same thing happened, and I did that trick. Probably a reproductive queen flew in and started this mound, so it probably wasn't from the same mound. I believe it was from just a reproductive ant flying in and starting her own new colony. But what I do is I take some of this black cow, just a small handful, and then I work it into the grass, and this stuff will make the grass grow back super fast. Now when I'm cutting, I'll raise the blades up as high as possible as I pass over this area, or I'll avoid just cutting this, and it will grow in super fast. No fertilizers needed, although this is a type of fertilizer. It's black cow composted manure. This will grow in super fast, and I'll show you a spot just a few feet over where I did the exact same method, and it got the grass to recover twice as fast. So remember, when you have a bald spot like this, this will really make it work fast if you don't cut the area and allow the grass to get a little bit high, and it'll send out its runners, or however your grass spreads will work really well at recovering that spot quickly. So I'm not sure how easy it is to discern this, but this outer area right here is the previous grass, and I put in the black cow compost, worked it into the soil once the ants had moved on, and it is recovered super fast. As you can see, there's very little evidence of an ant bed being here. So if you do have this problem in your grassy areas, just do the trick with the black cow, and you'll find that in less than 2 weeks your bald spot will be completely covered over, and it'll look great. Now there is a little bit of difference in this grass in this small area here as opposed to around there, but remember, this takes just a little bit of time for it to recover, and the best product I've found to do this is the black cow composted manure. So let's head back into the greenhouse, and I'll show you a few more products that you can use to get ants to flee from your yard in a very short amount of time, as they believe it's just too hot in your yard to survive. Now we're on kind of a semi-cloudy day. The sun will come in and out, but we're at 114. We were at 114, and I've seen it as high as 130, but we're at 112, 113, and so the interior temperature of this dome is going to get so hot the ants are just going to be forced to leave. It's just going to be like a most unbelievable temperature. They won't be able to survive. The larvae will not be able to survive, and it will become so hot, so dry, the ants will just move on to a new location. So any of these products I'm talking about will absolutely create a scorching temperature inside of the area where the ant beds are, and if the item is big enough, as I showed you earlier, the large bucket, it will not allow rainwater to easily get into the bed, which will dehydrate the bed even more. So not only do you have the extreme temperature, but you have a drought situation going on under there as well, and it will just cook the ants until they just want to leave, flee from the area. Now, there is the possibility they may move 3, 4, 5, 6 feet over, do the same process again, and they will flee the entire area until they just feel like this is not a good environment for them to build a nesting area. So there's a few other items here I wanted to talk about. I showed you the buckets, but I want to show you these right here. My wife throws these away every time she makes a pie or whatever she bakes in them. And so it's really great to have these. Don't throw them in the trash, but keep them, do the same thing with them. Place it over a small ant bed and you'll have the same exact effect. So aluminum pie pans will serve the same exact purpose. I'll put a link to these if you don't normally cook pies, but they're really cheap on Amazon. They're literally pennies each, and you can keep them for years and years and years and use this process over and over and over. So almost everybody has soda bottles, and you can do the same thing. Take an empty soda bottle, cut it in half, and put it over a small ant bed. Of course, you have to do this in the early stages before the ant bed becomes too large, but any type of soda bottle, you can actually go down to the size of a 16-ounce bottle and do the same thing. Just cut it in half, set it over there. If it's a windy day, you can make sure you can just put a small rock at the bottom of it to make sure it doesn't blow over, and that will definitely help with getting smaller size ant beds. So plastic soda bottles work also great, and it recycles something that would normally end up in the trash. Now, sometimes ant beds don't just live in a mound, they'll live in a stretched out area. You'll see ants building a nest kind of across the ground in a huge area, and so that would kind of limit these products from being effective. But something like this, a piece of large plastic, now this is actually pond liner, said to last 30 years. I use this in those areas. If I have a non-grass area where I just see a long stream of ants that are slowly building a nest across the ground, I can use something like this, cut it to fit, and that will do the same effect. Now, one of the keys in doing this, if you're in a deep shade spot, obviously it's not going to work as well. There needs to be at least partial sunlight in the area where you're doing this for it to work effectively. Now, the last thing is something you're going to absolutely throw in the trash, but keep 1 or 2 around your garden, your greenhouse, your place where you keep all your supplies to control insects, and this one item will help quite a bit. So the next item I'm talking about to control ants in your yard, wherever they might be, is just common trash bags. The big black ones you see, it's better to use black rather than white because white can repel heat, repel the light, and although it may get quite hot under there, it's not going to work as well as a black trash bag. So you can use something like this, a contractor's bag, and make sure you cut it to size. You don't want it to use a huge area if you have a grass area. You just want to cut it to within just a few inches of the actual ant bed, so it's just concentrating that heat right on the ant. So again, a common trash bag can work if you don't have any of the other items. So guys, as you can see, I'm sweating buckets in here because that same effect is happening in my greenhouse. I use this in the fall, winter, and spring, but right now it's unbearable to film. So it's the same exact process as you're driving a biological form out of an extremely hot area. So if you have any questions about this video or any previous video, I hope you'll become a public subscriber first. I tend to put those people to the front of the line because I get anywhere from 100 to 300 questions and comments a day. It's nearly impossible for me to answer all of them, so I always give priority to people who've subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate you watching, and have a great day.